What up, world? Welcome to another edition of Blunt Talk Quick Takes. I'm giving you a visual episode this time, NBA Finals edition of Game 1, recap and review. Happy as always to be here with you guys on this beautiful June 6, 2025. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. If you're looking to catch out more content of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast, you can always check the show out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, Patreon, Trovo, and as well as on Podbean. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Thanks. As always, guys, we're going to do, like I just stated, we're going to do a quick recap of Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Exciting game. Complete stunner and thriller of a game. Halliburton does it again, so definitely going to recap that. Also got a ton of NBA coaching news to get into. Rumor mill, big news possibly with Jason Kidd, maybe going to the Knicks, who knows. Also, we're going to touch on Jordan Ott becoming the new coach of the, what is that now? He's the new Suns head coach. Wow, that's kind of crazy, but nonetheless, we're going to touch on that, what the ramifications of a KD trade may mean. Also, we're going to touch on the Jazz doing a little bit of nepotism and hiring dannyainge. We're going to touch on that a little bit too. So a lot of things to unpack and get into. So definitely want to get started. But before we do, definitely want to give a shout out to one of our friends of the show. If you guys know anything, you guys know I'm an avid gamer, a huge PlayStation fan, and I've been a PlayStation advocate since 1996. I would tell anybody, it's the best game system in the world. Nonetheless, right now, we have a huge thing going on right now. Sony PlayStation's Days of Play. It started actually on May 25th. It ends on June 25th. I implore you to check out the link in the description box of this video. Sony PlayStation, more than a game. All right, guys, so hopping into this, we're going to go into the game last night. Now, the Pacers were able to pull out a thriller, 111-110, beating the Thunder on their home court. Obviously, the talk of the town is going to be, Tyrese Halliburton's game-winning shot at the end, which was magnificent. Great two-point shot that he was able to get off. However, this game was very complex and very a lot of peaks and valleys, a lot of different things that were kind of having an influence on this game. And I definitely want to make sure I took some time and touched on it. So to start, the game was tight and competitive, to begin with. Both teams were going at it. You can see that both teams are well coached. Both teams kind of could run in pace. So, pace is not an issue for either team, unlike it was for the Knicks and maybe, some other teams that the Pacers have played this year. But however, the Pacers definitely were giving it to, Oklahoma City was giving it to the Pacers early. The Pacers were trying to hang in there. You could definitely see it, but OKC just came out hot. Also, Siakam, you could clearly see he was the early offense for the Pacers. And I've noticed this throughout the playoffs. It doesn't matter who the leading scorer is by the end of the game. If you really pay attention, it's Siakam that usually sets the table and Halliburton that closes. So that's definitely something that I've been noticing throughout the whole postseason with this team. Also, I felt like Indiana, they allowed way too many three-point shots from the Oklahoma City Thunder. If you're actually looking at it right here, the Thunder had, and it's crazy because the Thunder ended the game only shooting 36%, but at the beginning of that game, a lot of uncontested three-point shots, a lot of situations where the Thunder were just kind of just getting whatever they wanted from the three-point line. SGA was killing them. SGA himself, just looking at his three-point statistics, he was 3 of 6. You had 1 of 4 from Alex Caruso, 5 of 9 from Lou Dort, who had a monster game from three-point range. I also touched on Obi Toppin as well. And Jalen Williams was 1 of 4. So not great shooting at the end of the game. All in all, they only ended up with 36%, so it's not great. However, this team's not really a three-point shooting team, and the fact that they were able to fend Indiana off as long as they could with that three-point shot spoke volumes. Also, too, way too many turnovers if you were the Pacers. Now, typically in a game, the Thunder will give you opportunities where they'll turn the ball over, but, just in comparison to get this, guys, Pacers had 24 turnovers in comparison to the Thunder 6. That is not a recipe of a team who played, great. That was a recipe of a team who tried to play with too much pace, maybe was a little too antsy, trying to match that energy. Oklahoma City, I think they're going to definitely walk away feeling like they choked this game, especially when you get done looking at the final numbers. Complete choke job. But SGA, again, played at a high level. To give you his final numbers, he had 38 points. He had a good player efficiency rating of +3, so that was always great. Also, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. And like I said, he's 14 to 30 from the field, so he had 46% from the field, which is great. And 50% from 3, which he'll definitely take from SGA. He's starting to develop that shot a little bit more. You could definitely see that throughout the postseason. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, again, Obi Toppin and TJ McConnell, the guys that really kept the Pacers alive late in that first half. TJ McConnell only had 9 points. However, 1-1 from three-point range and 4 of 6 from the field. Very, very clutch and important shots from him, especially when it felt like Oklahoma City was starting to take the momentum and swing away with this game like they've done with a lot of teams throughout the postseason. That being said, got to give that guy credit. Obi Toppin as well. Now, Obi Toppin ended the game with 17 points. However, he was 5 of 8 from 3, monster game from three-point range, and 6 of 9 from 2, so he was 66%. Obi Toppin, I want to take a moment to give him his props. He has grown so much from the Eastern Conference Finals to Game 1. Just pay attention to the way he's played from the first round of the playoffs up until now. Really has developed. Not a star, but definitely a good role player. Definitely a guy that can definitely give you some good splits. He's starting to really kind of find his niche here, and I'm giving him a lot of credit because I think this might be a situation where I don't expect him to hit 5 threes every game, but I do expect him to get somewhere between 12 to 17 points against his team because I do think that their bench, in comparison to Oklahoma City's bench, their bench, the Indiana Pacers bench, is better. But looking and going to the second half, it started to look like a typical Oklahoma City playoff game where they were starting to pull away. They were shooting the 3-ball well starting the half. Like I said, didn't end the game well shooting, but started the game well shooting the 3-ball. Lou Dort, like I said, was amazing. To give you his final stats of the game. I told you he was 5 of 9 for 3, but he had 15 points, 2 blocks, 4 steals, 4 rebounds, and he was 5 of 10 from the field, so 50%. Gotta love that from Lou Dort. If you can get that 2 or 3 more times in a series, you may win those games. However, the thing that I feel like is starting to become an issue for Oklahoma City, and it's something that I've stated throughout the postseason, and I think it gets missed a lot of times, experience matters. Carlisle, this is not his first rodeo. This is his second NBA Finals he's coaching. Pascal Siakam, second NBA Finals. Now, a lot of those guys that, they're playing on Indiana, this is their first time, around the sun with this. But when you have guys that have championship experience, one guy is one thing. You got a coach and a player that's actually played in the NBA Finals and coach. That just really spells doom for a young team who may situationally fuck up and put themselves in bad situations like, Oklahoma City did late. However, going into it, even though Indiana was turning the ball over consistently, you could see that clearly they just kept chipping away. And you notice around the 8:45 mark, Obi Toppin and Turner just started hitting those threes. The game started to change. And you want to give a shout out to the Thomas Bryant and definitely a shout out to Benedict Mathurin. He played well, but his defense, that spectacular block that you'll see here on the screen, I mean, without that block, there were certain points of this game where you just really felt like if the Pacers don't step up defensively, Oklahoma City is going to walk away with this game because they've done it with so many teams throughout the postseason. However, what was even more impressive than the Mathurin block was that Pascal Siakam block. I felt that gave Indiana confidence. That was around the 107 mark, so you're starting to get towards the end of the game. Then there was a play where the Siakam review happened where he was diving for the loose ball. Him and I'm not sure if it was Kason Wallace or Isaiah Joe. One of those guys were fighting for a loose ball. He dives out of bounds. They do a review, which I felt like gave them time to set up and catch their breath. Once that happened, the best defensive stand of the game where, let's just be honest, SGA's taking that shot. He had so many shots last night. You just honestly felt he's going to net this 2-pointer, and that's just going to kind of put the dagger in there, and Indiana's going to have to really make something special happen. But he misses the shot, which was a shot, and then Halliburton gets down court, hits that game winner, and, I mean, ball game. I mean, if you're Oklahoma City, you have to feel like you choked. You did everything you were supposed to. I mean, you didn't turn the ball over a ton of times. Looking here, you rebounded well. You were good from the free throw line, even better than what Indiana was. And also, but that three-point shooting, Indiana, 46%, And that's what saves them a lot of times in those games, the fact that they can shoot that ball well. I mean, you got Nesmith, He had 10 points, but keep in mind, 12 rebounds, 1 block. Now, he had a lot of fouls last night. Oklahoma City was giving him hell, but made 3-pointers, 3 or 7 from 3-point range, 42%. Siakam, 1 of 2. So that's obviously 50%. You got Miles Turner, 2 of 5, 40%. Andrew Nembhard, who hit some clutch shots down the stretch, definitely played well. I want to make sure I give him his credit too. He was 2 of 6 from 3-point range and 4 of 11 from the field. Did not have the greatest game in the world because he only had 14 points, but those shots down the stretch by Andrew Nembhard, another guy like Obi Toppin, has definitely developed, definitely stepped his game up, definitely is rising to the occasion, has grown some. A lot of these Canadian guys, man, got to give them credit. They are really stepping the fuck up in this postseason. And you got to give the Pacers even more credit because they are really the role warriors. I mean, if you guys, and you see here on the screen, via StatMuse, if you see, guys, they've only lost 2 fucking games on the road the whole postseason. They lost the opening game to Milwaukee, and they lost the game to the Knicks. Outside of that, they have not lost on the road. They have not lost on the road. So this is a problem for Oklahoma City. They cannot take this lightly. It's like I said, experience matters. When you're playing a team where the head coach has experience in the NBA Finals, one of their veterans has experience in the NBA Finals, you cannot just think that because we hit pedal to the metal and we go on one of our runs, this team's just going to falter. You got to close Indiana out. And I'm not sure, being honest with you, it's one game, but I think this might be Indiana Pacers championship, run that we might be looking at. Look at what they've done throughout the postseason. If they're able to get game 1, they got you. So a lot remains to be seen, but definitely want to make sure I gave a shout out to those guys. Pacers, outstanding effort in game 1 in the NBA Finals. Definitely stepped up, definitely rose to the occasion. Now I want to touch on some coaching news and rumors that are going on that I definitely feel like are prevalent and need to be addressed. First of all, I've already have a video on this. I'd implore you to check it out on YouTube, but breaking news kind of via Mark Stein from the Stein line on Substack. If you guys are on Substack, definitely check it out. I'm subscribed to Mark Stein. He has a lot of great articles that definitely drops all the time. All that being said, the Knicks are going to they have a plan to pursue Dallas's head coach, Jason Kidd. Kind of shocking. Not too shocking because it has been rumored about a lot of times amongst a lot of different NBA insiders. Bill Simmons loosely referenced it on his podcast, and I know he had Zach Lowe in that episode with him. Mark Stein obviously has been reporting this. He actually was the first one to report this last Tuesday. So definitely the guys have been on this. Let me just say this much. If I'm Jason Kidd, I would stay in Dallas. Now, keep in mind, you got cooperflagg coming. I know Kyrie Irving's going to be out for the year. You got Anthony Davis. But you do have a decent roster where maybe you can make some noise, make a decent playoff run, compete for a title maybe the year after or the year after that, depending on how the chips fall. If you go to the Knicks, you're signing on to, hey, I can get this team to a championship just like I did with the Mavs, which I think he's capable of doing that. The problem is, if I was Jason Kidd, you got to give me Giannis and KD. You can't give me the same weak-ass roster and think I'm going to do it. Cat, unfortunately, does not like to play defense. We traded all of our draft capital, potentially if I'm Jason Kidd speaking third person, you want me to sign on for this, and we've traded much of the draft capital for Mikal Bridges, who doesn't even warrant that much. That you got fleeced by the Nets, your crosstown rival. So it's a lot that Jason Kidd would have to be signing on, and he would have to win within a year or two for it to justify. And I just feel like that's a lot for any coach. Hell, if you guys will see here, Rick Pitino didn't even want the job. He was adamant that type of pressure, nobody really wants that. You don't even have a chance to really grow a team like that. And I would be bullshitting you if we did not know and did not state that he was pissed when Luka got traded. Jason Kidd was not happy when Luka got traded. He kind of found out a little haphazardly as well. You'll see here on the screen via Athlon Sports. So it's just one of those situations where it's like, I don't know, J-Kidd. Might be better off staying in Dallas, but depending on the money they may throw at him and the opportunity to win a ring quicker than you would in Dallas, we'll see. But with cooperflagg coming, man, I just keep my ass there. But who knows? Maybe he wants to be back in the tri-state area, but I just ultimately feel like you got cooperflagg, you got a young guy, you got a roster that's decent. Now, you're not winning the Western Conference, so maybe, that's a factor, but I just think the Knicks are setting up whoever is the coach next for failure. Next on, as far as coaching updates, we're going to talk about Jordan Ott. As you can see here on the screen, Jordan Ott has become the new Suns head coach. He was a former assistant coach of the Cavs, bench to Kenny Atkinson, so he's Kenny Atkinson acolyte. Apparently was picked after a law, Matt Ishbia and general manager, I want to make sure I get his name correctly, the general manager of the Suns. Let me see here. Brian Gregory. So Matt Ishbia and Brian Gregory both stated that there was a long search that produced like 15 candidates. They really took their time going through the search. It was narrowed down to Johnny Bryant and Jordan Ott, both who were on the Cavs staff, with Ott getting the nod ultimately and getting the coaching the hiring. Ott has no coaching experience. No shock there. I don't really think in today's NBA that's really much of a requirement. If guys with resumes are getting fired, I don't think no coaching experience is really an issue. Especially look at JJ Redick's situation, how that played out. And obviously, like I said, as previously stated, Ott has no coaching experience and started out as a video coordinator for the Hawks, kind of like Eric Spoelstra did with the Heat. So something to keep in mind. Obviously, like I said, they worked with Kenny Atkinson, and Jock Vaughn, and also worked with Steve Nash. So be that as it may. He also worked under Lakers coach Darvin Ham. Now, for me, what this ultimately spells is KD is on the move. Shams Charania ultimately essentially backed that up. Confirming that on NBA Countdown the other day that, KD is definitely going to get traded between now and the draft. So we'll definitely see how that plays out. And it's hilarious because Matt Ishbia stated, him and general manager Brian Gregory stated that they're looking for a new identity oriented around toughness and defense. It's going to be a ways for the Suns. Now, I know that they had Devin Booker in on the coaching search. They're very ecstatic about that because he had some say-so and who the hire was. Make no mistake, this team is ass. They're going to have to make major changes to really get where they need to be. This is all fluff and fluff for now. We'll see how great of a job Jordan Ott does. And I have no knock against Jordan Ott. I don't know if he's really going to be bad or good. However, I just don't trust that ownership group. And if you're a Suns fan, looks like the rebuild is coming. And next, and finally, I want to hop on this topic that has kind of been festering for me, and I definitely want to make sure I address this. The Jazz, as you can see here on the screen, the Jazz have hired Austin Ainge, son of NBA legend Danny Ainge, as president of basketball operations. Now, if you're wondering why that sounds curious, yes, that means he'd be working for his father in Utah. He worked with his father previously on the Boston Celtics. He was the Maine Red Claws, which is the G League affiliate to the Celtics. The head coach of that team after that season, which was like the 2009-2010 season. He then went up to the Celtics front office and had a role there in 2011 and became at a later point a director of player personnel, becoming a key voice in the Boston front office, working under his father and also working under Brad Stevens. Obviously, this screams nepotism. I just love the hypocrisy of it all. We see coaches a lot of times, bring on their sons, who may get a job elsewhere, or guys in the front office, do the cronyism thing. But seeing this nepotism thing around the league is very startling. First of all, what the fuck has Austin Ainge done outside of being work under his father and pretty much been, under the Celtics deodorant for the last few years? I really don't understand this. And he's president of basketball operations, so be that as it may, this is why the Utah Jazz will be picking number 1 again next year in the draft. Also, they're just coming off a 17-win season. You don't think you need more experienced people in there? But again, these are the same people that said this is not the ones that are saying that this isn't a problem, or the same ones saying to us that LeBron James bringing his son along was a problem. Same ones saying that, JB Bickerstaff and all these other guys bringing their sons along, the coach is a problem. It's just hilarious to me how this is all coming about. Nepotism fucking reeks in this country. Now, again, I'm of the thought where if you have a business, you have something personal that you want within the family, I can definitely understand. We see multi-billionaires do it all the time where they have their kids working in some role helping with the team. It's just very weird that you have a guy who has no real background in basketball outside of being your son and being placed in jobs that maybe somebody else was qualified for. But however, he's in a situation where now he's going to be working with the Jazz. The Jazz is going to be a dumpster fire. I expect that kid to be out of BYU to be the #1 pick next year. They're going to be getting him. I highly doubt that any of this really means anything, grand scheme of things. Dannyainge is ultimately a brain trust, but just wanted to bring to you how nepotism reigns supreme in this country. And if you are starting a small business or a business and people bitch at you or hiring your family, please keep things like this in mind. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. I love you guys as always. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hey to all my fans and subscribers out in the UK. Looking to get out this weekend, looking to make something of your week, then look no further than the Viagogo, the #2 leading ticket seller in the world for live events, shows, and concerts. Definitely check it out. If you're looking for exclusive tickets, look in the description of my videos on the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. Take care and enjoy your day.